The great meeting hall on Nexus Prime was full of noise. 47 different alien species sat in their special chairs, talking in languages that sounded like music, growls, and electronic beeps. The room was huge, made of crystal that sparkled, with rainbow colors. This was where the Galactic Council made all the big decisions for the galaxy. Ambassador Velteran walked to the center of the room. He was old, very old. His people, the Corvani, could live for thousands of years. He had 6 arms that moved like dance as he talked. His skin was blue-gray, and his eyes were big and black. Right now, those eyes looked worried. "Listen to me, friends," Velteran said. His voice came through speakers so everyone could understand him. "I have important news. It's about a new species we found. They call themselves humans." Most aliens in the room didn't care. Humans. They had never heard of humans. The galaxy was full of small, weak species that never mattered. The Zephyrian delegate made a clicking sound with her crystal body. She looked like a giant insect made of green glass. Why should we care about some new species? There are millions of them in the galaxy. Velteran raised all 6 arms. Because these humans are different, very different. Our ships have been watching them for many years. What we learned scares me. He pressed a button, and pictures appeared in the air above him. The pictures showed a small blue planet with 1 moon. Then they showed the creatures that live there. Humans. They walked on 2 legs, had hair on their heads, and came in different colors. "These humans live on a dangerous world," Velteran said. "Their planet has storms, earthquakes, and wild animals that try to eat them. Most species would die on such a world. But humans don't just live there. They make it their home." More pictures appeared. They showed humans fighting giant animals with simple weapons. They showed humans building cities even when volcanoes exploded nearby. They showed humans crossing frozen lands and burning deserts. "Look at this." Velteran pointed to a picture of humans in a war. They fight each other all the time. But watch what happens when they face something bigger than their small fights. The picture changed. It showed humans working together to fight huge monsters. It showed them building great walls to stop armies. It showed them never giving up, even when they were losing. "This is what makes them special," Velteran said, his voice getting stronger. "Humans don't know when to quit. Other species run away when things get bad. Humans get angry and fight harder." A delegate that looked like a floating ball of light made buzzing sounds, so they are good fighters. Many species are good fighters. No, you don't understand. Velteran shook his head. "It's not just fighting. Watch this." New pictures showed humans doing impossible things. They showed humans climbing the highest mountains on their world just because the mountains were there. They showed humans going to the bottom of deep oceans where the pressure should kill them. They showed humans flying in metal boxes that shouldn't be able to fly. "They do things that make no sense," Velteran said. "Our scientists studied them for years. Can't understand why they take such risks. When we asked our computers to explain human behavior, the computers said it was impossible." The room got quiet. The aliens were starting to pay attention. Velteran continued, "But that's not the scary part. The scary part is how fast they learn. Look at these pictures." The images showed human history. First, humans living in caves and hunting with sticks. Then humans growing food and building villages. Then bigger cities, then machines, then flying machines, then rockets that went to space. "This all happened in just 10,000 of their years," Velteran said. "Most species take millions of years to develop like this. Humans did it so fast that our scientists thought our data was wrong." A tall, thin alien with purple skin stood up. This was Delegate Mordok from the High Empire. "Even if they develop fast, they are still just one small species on one small world. Why should we worry?" Velteran's eyes got darker. "Because our computers ran tests. We asked them, what happens if humans learn to travel between stars? The computers ran the test 1,000,000 times." He paused, looking around the room. Single time, the same thing happened. When humans join galactic civilization, everything changes. Not just a little bit. Everything. "What do you mean?" asked a delegate that looked like a tree with eyes. "Humans don't follow rules the way other species do," Velteran explained. When other species meet us, they learn our ways and try to fit in. Humans learn our ways too, but then they ask, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way? More pictures appeared. These were not real pictures, but computer predictions. They showed humans meeting aliens, learning from them, then creating new things that no one had ever seen before. Look at this prediction. Velteron pointed to one image. We show humans our fastest spaceships. Other species would be happy to use our ships. But humans would study them, then build ships that are faster. Ships that work in ways we never thought of. The crystal delegate clicked again, but now she sounded less sure. Surely you exaggerate. No species can be that creative. That's what we thought too, Velteron said sadly. So we tested it, sent one of our ships near their world. We let them detect it, but we didn't make contact. Wanted to see what they would do. The room was completely quiet now. They didn't panic. They didn't pray to their gods. They didn't hide. Do you know what they did? They started building bigger rockets. In just 2 of their years, they built rockets that could reach our ship. They were going to come and find us. Velteron looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked scared now. Others looked curious. A few still looked like they didn't believe him. Friends, I've lived for 3,000 years. I've seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species destroy themselves and others grow to become great powers, but I have never seen anything like humans. He pressed another button. The pictures changed to show human children learning, human artists making beautiful things, human scientists discovering new facts about the universe. They have something we don't have, something we can't understand. They believe that anything is possible. When we tell other species that something can't be done, they accept it. When you tell a human that something can't be done, they say, watch me. The room erupted in noise as aliens talked to each other in their different languages. Some were arguing, some were laughing, some sounded worried. Velteron raised his arms again for quiet. I am asking the council to do something now, before it's too late. We should contact these humans carefully. We should learn about them slowly. We should be ready for what they might become. The vote was quick. Most delegates didn't want to waste time on one small species from the edge of the galaxy. They had bigger problems to worry about. The motion fails, announced the council speaker. We will continue normal observation of the Sol system. Meeting is ended. As the aliens left the Great Hall, Velteron stood alone in the center. He looked up at the crystal ceiling and whispered, "We have made a terrible mistake. The galaxy is not ready for what's coming." He walked slowly back to his ship, knowing that he had just watched the galaxy make the biggest error in its long history. Somewhere out there, on a small blue world, humans were getting ready to reach for the stars. And when they did, nothing would ever be the same again. 3 years had passed since the warning at the Galactic Council. Most aliens had forgotten about it completely. And the galaxy went on as it always had. The strong ruled the weak. Everyone knew their place. Captain Zethmol was having a bad day. His mining ship, the Prophet's Edge, was old and always breaking down. His crew of 12 aliens was lazy and complained too much. Worst of all, they hadn't found anything valuable to mine in 2 months. Zethmil looked like a giant, slug with arms. His skin was green and wet, and he moved slowly around his ship. His species, the mercantiles, were good at finding things to buy and sell, but not much else. They weren't fighters or builders. They were dealers. "Captain," called out his communications officer, a thin alien with 4 eyes. "I'm getting strange. Signals from Sector 779. Zethmel slithered over to look at the screen. Strange signals could mean treasure. It's maybe an old ship full of valuable things. Maybe a new species with something to trade. "What kind of signals?" he asked. "Unknown type? The patterns are weird, not like anything in our databases." Zethmel's eyes got bright. Unknown signals meant unknown species. Unknown species meant profit. He could sell information about them to the big galactic governments, or maybe capture a few for the slave markets. "Set course for those signals," he ordered. "Full speed." 2 days later, they found the source. It was a small ship, much smaller than theirs. The ship was white and blue, with writing on the side. In a language they had never seen, It was moving slowly, and parts of it were sparking with electricity. "The ship is damaged," reported a scanner operator. "Their engines are failing. They won't be able to run away." Perfect, thought Sethmel. Helpless aliens were the easiest kind to deal with. Inside the damaged ship, Commander Jinha was trying to stay calm. His ship, the New Horizon, was Earth's first attempt at deep space exploration. They had 12 crew members and enough supplies for 6 months. They were supposed to be gone for 3 months, but their navigation computer had broken down 2 weeks ago. Jinha was 35 years old, with black hair and calm brown eyes. He had been a soldier before becoming an explorer. He knew how to stay cool when things went wrong. "Sir," said his communications officer, a young woman named Park, "there's a ship approaching us. It's big, 10 times bigger than ours." Jinha looked at the screen. The alien ship looked like a flying brick covered in weapons and mining equipment. Not friendly. "Are they trying to talk to us?" he asked. "Not yet, sir. They're just watching." "Us." Jinha nodded. "Everyone stay calm. This might be our first contact with alien life. Let's make it count." The alien ship moved closer. Then metal arms reached out from it and grabbed the New Horizon. Jinha felt his ship shake as they were pulled into the alien vessel's cargo hold. Jinha said to his crew, "I guess they want to meet us in person." 20 minutes later, the airlock opened. 8 aliens walked in, led by Captain Zethmel. They had weapons, but they weren't pointing them yet. They looked around the human ship like they were shopping. Zethmel stared at Jinha and his crew. These aliens looked strange. They stood up straight on 2 legs, had hair on their heads, and their eyes looked ... smart. "I am Captain Zethmel," he said through his translator device. "You are now property of the Mercantile Federation. You will come with us." Jinha stepped forward. He wasn't wearing a weapon, but he didn't look scared. "I'm Commander Jinha of the Earthship New Horizon. We're explorers from the Sol System. We'd like to talk." Zethmel made a wet, laughing sound. "Talk? You don't understand, little alien. You are primitives. We are advanced. You do what we say, or we hurt you." Jinha looked at the alien captain for a long moment. Then he did something that confused all the aliens. He smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that made smart people nervous. "I don't think so," Jinha said quietly. What happened next would be talked about in alien bars and meeting halls for years to come. Zethmel reached for his weapon. But Jinha was faster, much faster. The human commander grabbed a tool from the wall, just a simple wrench, and threw it with perfect aim. It hit Zethmel's weapon and sent it flying across the room. The other aliens tried to react, but the humans were already moving. They didn't fight like any species the aliens had ever seen. They used everything as a weapon: tools, pieces of equipment, even parts of their own ship. Park, communications officer, had grabbed a fire extinguisher. She sprayed it in the faces of 2 aliens, blinding them. Then she hit them with the metal tank. Another human crew member had torn a metal pipe from the wall. He was using it like a sword, keeping 3 aliens back while Jinha fought their captain. But the strangest thing was how they worked together. The aliens were bigger and stronger, but the humans moved like they could read each other's minds. When one human was in trouble, another was already there to help. Jinha wrestled Zethmel to the ground. The alien captain was twice his size, but Jinha was faster and smarter. He used the alien's own weight against him, just like he had learned in his military training. You can't do this?" Zethmel gasped. "We have more weapons? More ships?" "Maybe," Jinha said, pressing his knee into the alien's back, "but you don't have more will to fight." "Battle lasted 17 minutes!" When it was over, half the alien crew was unconscious. The other half was locked in their own storage room. The humans had taken control of the Prophet's Edge without killing anyone. Jinha stood on the bridge of the alien ship, looking at all the buttons and screens. His crew was already figuring out how everything worked. Humans were good at that, taking complicated things and understanding them quickly. "Sir," Park called out, "I've accessed their communication system. Do you want to send a message?" "Thought about it." This was humanity's first contact with alien life. What should their first message be? He walked over to the communication panel. In the storage room, he could hear the surviving aliens talking in scared voices. They had expected easy victims. Instead, they had found something they didn't understand. Jinha activated the ship's emergency broadcast system. His message would reach every ship and station within 50 light years. "This is Commander Ginha of the human ship New Horizon," he said clearly. "We are explorers from Earth in the Sol system. We came in peace, looking for knowledge and friendship." He paused, looking around at his crew. They all nodded at him. "We were attacked by the crew of this vessel. They wanted to make us slaves. That didn't work out for them. We have taken control of their ship, but we have not hurt them." Another pause. Ginha wanted to make sure the galaxy understood what he was about to say. "To anyone listening, we humans are new to this galaxy. We don't know your rules or your ways, but we have rules of our own. We don't attack peaceful people. Don't make slaves. We don't take things that don't belong to us." His voice got harder, colder. "But if you attack us, we will defend ourselves. If you try to make us slaves, we will resist. You try to kill us, we will fight back. And we are very, very good at fighting back." Jinha looked directly into the communication camera. "We hope to meet you as friends, but if you choose to meet us as enemies, that's your choice. Just remember, you were warned." He turned off the communication system. In the cargo hold, the damaged New Horizon was already being repaired with alien tools and materials. His crew was learning how alien technology worked, making it better, making it stronger. In the storage room, Captain Zethmel listened to the human's message with growing fear. These weren't primitive aliens. These were something else, something the galaxy had never seen before, and they had just announced themselves to everyone. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy wasn't ready for it. 6 months after Jinha's message, stories about the humans were spreading through the galaxy like fire. But most government officials didn't believe them. How could primitive aliens defeat a modern mining ship? The stories must be lies told by criminals and pirates. On Earth, everything had changed. Dr. Haran worked day and night in her laboratory, studying the alien technology that Ginha had brought back. She was 28 years old, with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to sleep. Before first contact, she had been studying rocket engines. She was learning how to bend space and time. "This is incredible," she told the emergency meeting of Earth's leaders. "They're faster than light engines work, but they're built all wrong. They use too much energy and can only travel on fixed paths between stars." President Chen leaned forward in his chair. "Can we build our own?" Haran smiled. It was the same kind of smile Jinha had given Captain Zethmel. "I can do better than that. I can make them work the way they should work." She showed them her designs on the big screen. The alien engines looked like complex flowers made of metal. Haran's designs looked like controlled explosions. "Aliens build their engines to be safe and predictable," she explained. "They follow the same space routes that have been used for thousands of years, but humans don't like being predictable." "What do you mean?" asked General Morrison. "I mean, we can go anywhere," Haran said, her eyes bright with excitement. "Their ships have to avoid dangerous areas of space, places with too much gravity, too much radiation, too many asteroid fields. Our ships can go right through those areas." "How?" "Because we're not afraid of dangerous paths. We just need to be smarter about how we travel them." 3 months later, the first human exploration fleet was ready. Captain Quan commanded the lead ship, the Defiance. He was 42 years old, with gray in his black hair and scars on his hands from years of military service. His ship was built using both human and alien technology, but it looked like no ship anyone had ever seen. The Defiance was long and sharp. It's like a knife made for cutting through space itself. It didn't follow the smooth, curved lines that aliens preferred. It looked dangerous because it was dangerous. Quan's mission was simple: explore, make contact with other species, and establish trade relations. But he had secret orders, too. If anyone tried to treat humans as slaves or primitives, he was authorized to respond with force. The first test came at the Talon Nebula mining station. It was a huge structure built inside a cloud of colorful gas and space dust. Thousands of aliens worked there, mining rare metals and crystals. The station was run by the Hierarchical Assembly, a government that believed some species were born to rule and others were born to serve. When the Defiance arrived, Station Administrator Vexstar couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human ship had come through the nebula itself, traveling through radiation that should have killed everyone on board. No one had ever done that before. Vexstar looked like a tall, thin tree with gray bark for skin and branches instead of arms. His species, the Arbiters, had ruled the Hierarchical Assembly for 2,000 years. They were used to other species bowing down to them. Unknown vessel, Vexstar broadcast to the human ship, "You have entered assembly space without permission. Prepare to be boarded and inspected." Captain Kwan's response was polite, but firm. "This is Captain Kwan of the Earth ship Defiance. We come in peace, seeking trade and information. We request permission to dock Earth." Vexstar had never heard of it. "What government do you represent? The Human Commonwealth? We're explorers." From the Sol System. Vexstar checked his databases. Sol System. There it was. A small, unimportant system on the edge of the galaxy. It's probably another primitive species looking for scraps. "You may dock at Cargo Bay 7, Vexstar said dismissively. "You will be processed as refugees and assigned work duties." There was a long pause. Then Kwan's voice came back, and it sounded different. Colder. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're not refugees. We're representatives of a sovereign government, here to establish diplomatic relations." Vexstar laughed, a sound like wind through dead leaves. "Primitive species don't have diplomatic relations with the Assembly. You will accept refugee status, or you will be destroyed," Kwan said simply. "We won't." What happened next became one of the most studied battles in galactic history. The mining station had weapons, big ones, designed to break apart asteroids. It should have been more than enough to destroy one small ship. But the Defiance didn't fight like a normal ship. Instead of staying still and trading shots, Kwan's ship moved through the nebula like a fish through water. It used the gas clouds for cover and the radiation for concealment. The station's weapons couldn't get a clear shot. Then the humans did something that no one expected. They turned the mining station's own equipment against it. The station used powerful, magnetic fields to move asteroids and metal ore. Kwan's crew found a way to reverse those fields, turning them into weapons. Suddenly, chunks of rock and metal were flying at the station's weapon platforms. Dr. Harin, now serving as the ship's science officer, worked at her computer with flying fingers. "I've hacked into their power grid," she reported. "Their defense systems are run by the same computer that controls their mining equipment." "Can you shut down their weapons?" Kwan asked. "Better than that," Harin said with a grin. "I can make their weapons shoot at each other."
Ow.
Within 2 hours, the mighty mining station was helpless. Its weapons were offline, its shields were down, and several of its docking bays were on fire. The Defiance hadn't taken a single hit. Vexstar contacted the human ship, his voice shaking. "We surrender. Please don't destroy the station." Kwan's reply surprised everyone listening. "We don't want to destroy your station, we want to make it better." "What do you mean?" We're going to turn this place into a free port. A place where any species can come to trade, no matter how big or small their government is. A place where everyone is treated equally." Vexstar couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You can't do that. The Assembly will send warships." "Let them come," Kwan said. "But while we're waiting for them, we're going to show your workers what freedom looks like." Over the next week, something amazing happened at the mining station. The humans didn't rule through fear or force. Instead, they offered the workers a choice. They could keep working under the old system, or they could join the new Freeport as equal partners. Most of the workers chose freedom. They were tired of being treated like tools. They were tired of having no say in their own lives. The humans offered them something they had never had before. Respect. Captain Kwan stood in the station's main plaza, surrounded by hundreds of alien workers. Some looked like giant insects, others like living rocks, still others like floating jellyfish. All of them were listening to him speak. "We didn't come here to conquer you," Quan said through universal translators. "Came here to trade with you, to learn from you, to share what we know. But we found out that you're not free to make your own choices." He gestured around the station. "This place produces wealth that can make all of you rich. But instead, that wealth goes to rulers who have never worked a day in the mines. That's not right." A worker that looked like a crab with 6 arms raised a claw. "What are you saying we should do?" "I'm saying you should decide for yourselves. This is your station. You built it, you run it, you risked your lives working in it. You should be the ones who benefit from it." "But the assembly will punish us," said another worker. Quan's expression got hard. "They'll have to go through us first." Dr. Heron had been working on the station's communication systems. She activated the main broadcast array. "Attention all ships and stations in this sector," her voice went out across space. "The Talon Nebula Mining Station is now a free port under the protection of the human Commonwealth. All species are welcome to trade here freely and fairly." She paused, then added, "Any attempt to interfere with this station's independence will be considered an act of war against humanity." The message reached dozens of systems. "It, said the station, not. Warships, trading vessels. Captains who had been shut out of assembly space for years suddenly had a new option. But the message also reached the assembly's military headquarters. Admiral Vexfer, a battle-scarred veteran with cybernetic implants, covering half his tree-like body, stared at the reports with growing anger. "These humans think they can steal our property?" he growled to his staff. "Sent the 3rd Fleet. I want that station back under assembly control within a week." "Sir," his aide said nervously, "what about the humans? Intelligence says they defeated our mining station without taking any damage." "They got lucky," Vexfer said. "A mining station isn't a warship. Let's see how they do against real military vessels." He activated the fleet communications. "All ships, prepare for immediate deployment. We're going to teach these primitive humans their place in the galaxy." Back at the Talon station, Captain Quan received reports of the approaching fleet. 60 warships, heavily armed and ready for battle. Single ship was outnumbered 60. 2-1. "Sir," Dr. Heron said quietly, "maybe we should withdraw. We've made our point." The assembly fleet arrived 3 days later. 60 warships dropped out of hyperspace around the Talon Nebula like angry metal wasps. Their weapons could turn planets into dust. Their shields could stop entire fleets. Admiral Dexfer was confident. This would be easy. He was wrong. Captain Quan stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the enemy ships surround the mining station. His 3 companion ships, the Resilience, Determination, and Courage, took positions around him. For human vessels against 60 alien warships. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "they're demanding our surrender." "Let me guess," Quan said dryly. "Surrender or be destroyed?" "Actually, sir, they're offering to let us live if we become their slaves." Quan laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "They still don't understand, do they? Put me through to their admiral." "Admiral?" This scarred face appeared on the screen. Half of his tree-like head was covered in metal implants from old battles. His voice was like grinding stone. "I am Admiral Vexfer of the Hierarchical Assembly. You have stolen our property and corrupted our workers. Surrender now, and we will allow you to live as servants." Quan studied the alien admiral calmly. "I'm not." "Captain Quan of the Human Commonwealth. We haven't stolen anything. We've freed people who were being treated like slaves. There's a difference. Your primitive species doesn't understand galactic law. That station belongs to the Assembly. Those workers belong to the Assembly. You will return them now." "No," Quan said simply. "We won't." Vex's metal implants sparked with anger. "You are 4 ships against 60. Your weapons are inferior. Your shields are weak. You cannot win." Quan smiled that dangerous human smile. Admiral, you're making the same mistake everyone else has made. You think this is about weapons and shields? What else could it be about? It's about will. It's about who wants to win more. Humans always want to win more. The first shots came from the assembly fleet. Massive energy beams that could cut through asteroids struck the human ships. But the humans weren't where the beams expected them to be. The 4 human vessels scattered like leaves in a hurricane, diving deep into the nebula where the gas and radiation made targeting almost impossible. The assembly ships followed, their heavy weapons blasting blindly through the colorful clouds. They can't hide forever, Dex, Fur told his bridge crew. The nebula will poison their life support systems. They'll have to come out. But the humans didn't come out. Instead, they did something that made no sense to the aliens. They went deeper into the most dangerous parts of the nebula, where the radiation was so thick it would kill most organic life in minutes. Dr. Harin worked frantically at her console aboard the Defiance. I've modified our shields to use the radiation as a power source, she reported to Quan. The more dangerous it gets out there, the stronger our shields become. And their ships? Quan asked. Their shields are designed to keep radiation out. In here, they're getting weaker while we're getting stronger. Meanwhile, on the mining station, something else was happening. The workers weren't running away or hiding. Instead, they were preparing to fight. Ginha had arrived with reinforcements, not warships, but construction vessels full of human engineers and volunteers from a dozen alien species. They had been building something in secret. What is that thing? Sver demanded, as his sensors detected massive energy readings from the station. His science officer, a nervous creature that looked like a spider made of crystal, checked his instruments twice before answering. Sir, they've turned the entire mining station into a weapon. The humans had done the impossible again. They had connected all the mining equipment, power generators, and industrial machinery into one massive system. The station that had been designed to break apart asteroids was now capable of breaking apart starships. Impossible, Thexfer whispered. Mining equipment can't be used as military weapons. Tell that to the humans. His science officer replied weakly. The battle became a nightmare for the assembly fleet. In the nebula, their heavy warships moved slowly, while the human vessels danced around them like deadly insects. The humans used every trick they could think of, hiding behind asteroids, using the nebula's magnetic fields to bend their shots around obstacles. Even ramming damaged enemy ships with their own vessels and teleporting their crews to safety at the last second. But the real surprise came when the assembly tried to attack the station directly. The mining station's new weapon system didn't fire energy beams or missiles. Instead, it fired compressed chunks of the nebula itself, packets of superheated gas and radiation that exploded like stars when they hit enemy ships. Within 2 hours, half the assembly fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors were trapped in a cloud of radiation and debris, their shields failing, their weapons overheating. That's when the humans did something that shocked everyone. Attention assembly vessels, Quan broadcast on all frequencies. This is your last chance to surrender. We don't want to kill you, we want you to understand. Understand what? Dexfer demanded, his pride fighting with his survival instincts, that there's a better way to live. Look around you, Admiral. Look at what we've built here. There's dozens of different species working together, trading freely, treating each other with respect. No one is a slave. No one is considered inferior. Jinha's voice joined the broadcast. Admiral, we've captured several of your damaged ships. Your crews are safe. They're being treated in our medical facilities right now by doctors from 6 different species who used to be enemies. That's impossible, Dexfer said. Different species can't work together like that. They can if you give them the chance. Dr. Heron added from her station. I'm sending you medical data from our facilities. Look at it. Your own wounded soldiers are being healed by aliens they were trying to kill an hour ago. The data appeared on DEXA screens. It showed assembly soldiers lying in hospital beds, being cared for by the same alien workers they had come to re-enslave. The workers weren't being forced to help. They were volunteering. Why? Dexter asked, his voice smaller now. Why would they help our people? Because that's what people do when they're free to choose, Quan explained. When you treat people with respect, they respond with respect. When you show them kindness, they show kindness back. Dexter looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at the screens, watching enemy medics save the lives of assembly soldiers. Some of his officers were crying, an emotion most military. Aliens were trained never to show. What do you want from us? The admiral asked finally. We want you to make a choice, Jinha said. You can keep fighting and lose more ships and more lives. Or you can join us. Not as conquered enemies, but as equals. You in what? In building something better? A galaxy where every species gets to decide its own fate? Comes from cooperation instead of domination, where no one has to live as a slave. The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, Dexter spoke. What happens to the assembly? To our government? To our way of life? That's up to you, Quan. Replied, we're not here to destroy your culture or your people. We're here to offer you freedom. What you do with it is your choice. One by one, the surviving assembly ships powered down their weapons, not in defeat, but in decision. Admiral Dexter's final message was broadcast throughout assembly space. This is Admiral Dexter to all assembly forces. We came here to fight primitives. Instead, we found teachers. The operation is suspended. We have much to learn. 6 months later, the Talon Nebula had become the busiest trading hub in 3 sectors. Ships from hundreds of species came there, to trade, to learn, and to see what freedom looked like. But the real change was happening throughout assembly space. Workers were demanding better treatment. Citizens were asking why they couldn't choose their own leaders. Soldiers were questioning why they were fighting to keep people enslaved. The galaxy was changing. One mind at a time, and at the center of it all. Humans continued to do what humans did best. They kept pushing forward, kept building something better, kept refusing to accept that anything was impossible. The revolution had begun. But it wasn't being fought with weapons. It was being fought with hope. 2 years had passed since humanity first spoke to the galaxy. Now, the great crystal hall of the Galactic Council was full again, but everything had changed. Half the delegates looked nervous, the other half looked angry. All of them were scared. Ambassador Velteron stood at the center of the hall, just as he had 3 years ago. But this time, he wasn't alone. 3 humans stood beside him, Commander Ginha, Captain Quan, and Dr. Heron. They were the first humans ever to address the Galactic Council. The hall was quieter than it had ever been. 47 species watched the humans with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and something else. Hope. Velteron spoke first. His 6 arms moving slowly, his ancient voice heavy with the weight of prophecy fulfilled. On our delegates, he began, 3 years ago. I stood in this same spot and warned. You about the humans? I told you they were different. I told you they would change everything. He gestured to the 3 humans beside him. You chose not to listen. Now we all face the consequences of that choice. His words hung in the air like storm clouds. Delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others glared at the humans with open hatred. Look around you, Velteran continued. The hierarchical assembly has lost half its territory to worker rebellions. The Mercantile Federation's slave. Markets are empty because no one will sell people anymore. The Zephyrian Empire's crystal mines stand silent because their workers demand fair wages. The Zephyrian delegate, her glass body crackling with angry energy, stood up. These humans are a plague. They spread chaos wherever they go, Commander. Jinha stepped forward. He looked older now, with lines around his eyes from 2 years of constant travel and negotiation. But his voice was still calm, still strong. Delegate Sixara, he said, remembering her name from the briefing files. We haven't spread chaos. We've offered choice. There's a difference. Choice. Sixara's voice was like breaking glass. You've destroyed the natural order. Species have? Their proper places in the galaxy. Says who? Dr. Heron asked quietly. She was 30 now, and her eyes held the confidence of someone who had solved impossible problems every day for 2 years. Who decided that some species should rule while others serve? It has always been this way, declared Mordok, the purple-skinned, delegate from the High Empire. The strong rule the weak. That is natural law. Captain Quan laughed, but not cruelly. Natural law? There's nothing natural about slavery. Nothing natural about forcing people to live without hope. He activated a small device and holographic images filled the air above the delegates. Images showed worlds that had been transformed by human contact, not conquered, but changed. This is the Kepler 442 system, Quan said, pointing to images of a lush green world. 2 years ago, it was a dead rock. The High Empire said it was impossible to live there. Too much radiation, too many storms. The images showed human ships arriving, followed by vessels from dozens of other species. They showed cities being built not by slaves, but by volunteers working together. We didn't make it safe by changing the planet, Dr. Huron explained. We made it safe by changing how we thought about danger. Instead of avoiding the radiation, we learned to use it. Instead of hiding from the storms, we built generators that turned storm energy into power. More images appeared. They showed the mining station at Talon Nebula, now a bustling trade hub where dozens of species lived and worked together. They showed former assembly warships that had been converted into exploration vessels, crewed by mixed species teams. This is what we've built, Jinha said simply. Not an empire, not a kingdom, a community. The hall erupted in angry voices. Some delegates shouted about tradition and proper order. Others demanded that the humans be arrested for disturbing galactic peace. But several delegates, mostly from smaller, weaker species, remained silent. Watching the images with growing wonder, Velteron raised all 6 arms for quiet. The humans have come here today with a proposal, he announced. They wish to address the council directly. Ginha stepped forward again. We're not here to threaten anyone. We're not here to make demands. We're here to offer you the same choice we've offered everyone else. What choice? Asked a delegate that looked like a floating jellyfish. The choice to join the human commonwealth? Dr. Huron replied. It's not as subjects or allies, but as equal partners in building something better. The Zephyrian delegate's crystal body flared with angry light. And if we refuse, Quan's expression didn't change, then you refuse. We won't force you. We won't attack you. We won't try to conquer you. But, Jinha added, his voice carrying a note of quiet warning, we also won't stop offering that choice to your people. If a Zephyrian worker wants to leave the Empire and join a Commonwealth world, we'll welcome them. If a High Empire citizen decides they want to live free, we'll help them. It's not fair, Mordok shouted. You're stealing our populations. We're not stealing anyone, Heron said firmly. We're just giving them options they never had before. The truth of her words hit the hall like a thunderbolt. The humans weren't conquering the galaxy through military force. They were conquering it by offering people something better than what they had. Velteron spoke into the stunned silence. This is what I tried to warn you about. Humans don't defeat their enemies by destroying them. They defeat them by making them irrelevant. More. Delegates began shouting, but their words were interrupted by an unexpected sound. Applause. It came from the observation galleries, where representatives of smaller species and non-voting members sat. A delegate that looked like a tree with eyes stood up in the gallery. I am Gruton of the Verdanian Republic. We have been non-voting members of this council for 200 years because we were considered too primitive for full membership. His voice carried across the hall. Last month, human engineers helped us build our first faster-than-light ship. Not because we paid them, not because we served them, but because they believed we deserved the same opportunities as everyone else. More voices joined in from the galleries. Species that had been ignored, dismissed, or oppressed for centuries were speaking up for the first time. The humans helped us dig wells on our desert world. They shared medical technology that ended the plague on our homeworld. They taught our children to read and write in galactic standard. The noise grew louder as more and more voices joined in. The powerful delegates in the main hall watched in horror as the galaxy's forgotten peoples found their voice. Jinha waited for the noise to die down, then spoke quietly. This is what the Commonwealth really is. It's not about humans ruling anyone. It's about everyone having the right to rule themselves. He looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of delegates who had dismissed humanity as primitive just years before. We came to your galaxy as explorers, looking for knowledge and friendship. Some of you tried to make us slaves. Others tried to kill us. But we didn't respond with hatred or revenge. His voice grew stronger. Instead, we responded with an idea that apparently terrifies your governments more than any weapon could. The idea that every thinking being deserves to be free. Dr. Heron activated another device. New images appeared, showing ships under construction in human shipyards. But these weren't warships. They were exploration vessels, hospital ships, colony transports, and research stations. We're building the largest fleet in galactic history, she announced. Not to conquer worlds, but to help them. Not to destroy civilizations, but to lift them up. Captain Kwan stepped forward for the final statement. The Commonwealth is offering every species in this galaxy the same thing we've offered everyone else: partnership, respect, and the chance to become more than you were yesterday. He paused, looking directly at the most powerful delegates. You can join us willingly and help us build a better galaxy together. You can stand aside and let your people make their own choices, or you can fight us. His voice became deadly serious. But if you choose to fight, remember this. We're not the same humans who first stumbled into your galaxy 2 years ago. We've learned from every species we've met. We've grown stronger, smarter, and more determined. We are no longer visitors in your galaxy, Jinha added. We are citizens of it. And we will defend our right to exist, our right to grow, and our right to offer hope to anyone who wants it. The final vote was closer than anyone expected. 23 species voted to recognize the human Commonwealth as a legitimate government. 20 voted against. For abstained, it wasn't the overwhelming victory the humans had hoped for, but it was enough. As the session ended and delegates filed out of the hall, Velteron approached the 3 humans. You've done something remarkable, the ancient ambassador said. You've changed the galaxy without conquering it. Jinha smiled, that uniquely human expression that had become famous throughout known space. We haven't finished yet. This is just the beginning. Dr. Heron looked up at the crystal ceiling of the great hall, where light from 1,000 stars painted rainbow patterns in the air. Do you think we've really won? Quan shook his head. Humans don't win or lose. We just keep becoming more than we were. Jinha nodded, his eyes already focused on the future. The galaxy wanted to know what it means to be human. Now they understand. He looked at his companions, then back at the departing delegates.